As jy nie geweet het, is skateboarding debut van vanjaar se Olimpiese Spele as 'n sport-item. Die is nou as die spele nie deur corona gekeer gaan word. Nou Jean-Marc Johannes van Athlon oefen hard om Suid-Afrika daar in Tokio te gaan verteenwoordig. Dit sal nie sy enigste prestasie sover wees nie. Die KLOP-span het by the Shred skatepark daar in Paden Island in die Kaap meer oor Jean-Marc en sy liefde vir die skateboard gaan uitvind.
I do come from a sporting family, and I think there was a mix of athletes within my family, from professional ballroom dancing to professional boxing to soccer. And with that environment, you know, there was a lot of, I would say, pressure for me to perform in a sport, or let's say take up sport. I struggled within sport. I think, you know, I found it very difficult, especially in school. Being able to be part of teams, being able to make the teams was something I struggled with. And also to the fact that I was born chronic asthmatic, so a lot of sports that was on a field or anything that would kind of trigger the asthma became a problem. And when I saw skateboarding, at the time, I didn't think of it as a competitive sport. I found it was something that I could be a part of, that it was a community, it was something positive, it was something active, and it was free. I was 10 years old at the time and never left it alone since. There's a competitive aspect, but it's an art form, specifically because it's limitless. There's no limit to the tricks. As competitive as it gets as a sport, there will always be that art form, that love aspect behind skateboarding, you know, just getting on your board and going for a cruise. My style of skateboarding, it's usually referred to as street skateboarding. So street is stairs, rails, ledges, things you see on a daily basis. And I've always felt, you know, that's where my forte is. And at 11 years old, I won my first pro contest in South Africa. The other highlight in my career was winning South Africa's first ever gold, silver and bronze medals in skateboarding internationally. But the first Guinness World Record that I broke in skateboarding was for the most nollie heel flips in 1 minute. I broke it for the first time in 2017, and I attempted to break my own record in 2018, in which case I did. And that gave me motivation to try and break a bigger record, something that is almost seen as unbreakable, unbeatable. Then I attempted to break the 13-year record that was previously set by USA skateboarder Rob Dydick in 2006. I ended up breaking the record for the first time in South Africa, and I think for me that was one of the biggest things, you know, I've challenged, and one of the biggest things I've accomplished in my career for sure. I always believed that, you know, I could push myself to a very high level, and I think when the opportunity came around for that, skateboarding would be debuting at the Olympics for the first time. For me, I thought, you know, I believe I can push myself to this level. And I feel that over the last few years, competing and winning international contests has been preparing me for this moment, has been preparing me for this era of skateboarding. For me, it is an absolute honor. There are definitely a set amount of tricks that I take into a contest. And specifically because, you know, there are certain tricks that firstly set up your confidence to push further. And then there are a bag of tricks that I would keep towards the end. And this would normally be the, let's say, the more bigger tricks, the more daring, dangerous tricks in skateboarding. And I would usually keep that for the end, and usually as a surprise as well. I think in every competition or any athlete doesn't always give away their secrets. My Fill the Gap charity initiative is an initiative I started a few years ago, and the idea is to give back gear to the, let's say, underprivileged communities where there aren't skateboarding outlets, there aren't skate parks, and it's very difficult to access gear. It's very difficult to keep the motivation to, you know, keep getting on the board. So what Fill the Gap does is it collects gear, and I personally take it to specific locations and do a handout. You'd have cases where there'd be 10 kids sharing one skateboard, and out of those 10 kids, maybe one of them will continue skateboarding. So I'm basically wanting to fill that gap, you know, from having nothing to having something.
Skateboarding is amper soos eggelplein ry op jou eie. Ons is toch altyd so opgemaak wanneer ons jong mense goed doen. So kom ons hou al ons duime vas vir Jean-Marc en dat die Olympics wel plaasvind. Dis geskeduleer vir Julie en Augustus daar in Japan. Tyd om te kyk wat is in die winkels en dan gesels ons oor finansiële beplanning.